So I've been thinking about trading psychology, and there's an argument that gets made on either side of whether trading psychology is important or not. And well, as usual, when there's two sides to an argument that are vehemently opposed, I think they're probably both wrong, and the truth is somewhere in the middle. So, here are my thoughts. I guess first I'll lay out the arguments that I hear from the psychology people that if you don't have your psych in order, that no matter what system you have, it's not going to go well because you're not going to be able to properly implement the system and therefore it won't be profitable. On the other side of the argument, I hear that the only thing that matters is your system. Your psychology doesn't really matter. And that if your system is set up right, you should have no problem implementing it. I think there's truth to both sides, so let's dive into that. So my main take on this is that your psychology and your system are inextricably linked. I don't think there's a way to separate the two. You're always going to be making decisions. Even the decision to implement a system. Let's say you have a 100% automated system. Even if you had a 100% automated system, it's your decision to turn the system on or at any time turn the system off if it stops working in a way you're not comfortable with. So I don't see how in any way you can completely disassociate your psychology with the system that you're implementing. So there are definitely cases where someone has what would be a winning system with edge, and their psychology is in a place where they can't properly implement that system, and so it doesn't work, right? They're either cutting their winners too quickly or holding losses too long or jumping out and jumping back in when they should just be holding. There's a whole bunch of things that can happen, right? But we've all seen that. There's also times where right, your psychology is rock solid. You can follow any system you want, and you just don't have a good system, right? And sometimes it's hard to tell, especially for new traders, what the difference is. So if I'm a new trader and I'm not making money, let's maybe even losing money, how do I tell, is it the system or is it my psychology? Because in hindsight, when you're looking at a trade, if you're journaling or something, you can convince yourself that it was your fault, right? Because with the gift of hindsight, you can see what you should have done to profit, which is nonsense, but that's what you tell yourself, right? And so in the beginning, and that's who, these beginner traders are, that's who most of this information is marketed to, right? About psychology and even about certain systems. It's mostly marketed to those newer traders. And so, yeah, I mean, I know I went through this when I was starting out, right? You'd enter a trade, and even if you followed the system, afterwards you could convince yourself like, oh, see, I knew when I was watching this, I was reading the price action, and I knew I should have held it for longer because after it stopped you out, just barely, bottom ticked your stop, and then it took off without you or something like that, right? And so anyway, for a beginner trader, it's hard to sometimes parse, all right, am I making mistakes or is the system just not working? A part of that is, you could have gotten a system from a guru on YouTube that doesn't actually work. And with that being said, a lot of times the YouTubers or the guys on X or whatever that are giving away a certain system and telling you how easy it is, they always throw in one of those variables, like reading price action or something that makes it kind of muddy or murky, because then if you start implementing that system and you're not winning, they can just say something like, well, bro, you're not reading the price action correctly, which is, I mean, price action is, in the way they mean it, mostly nonsense. One thing that can help a beginner is having a system that every part of the system has clearly defined rules. Clear entry signals, clear exit signals, both on the stop and the take profit. Clear risk management. In the beginning, that can really help a new trader, because then you can tell, all right, do I have some psychology issues going on, and what's the cause, right? And look, the argument gets made, and I tend to think this might be correct, that if you've got a system like that and you're still having psych issues, then your size is just too big, right? So you need to risk less per trade at the beginning. There's always going to be some discomfort, especially when you do start sizing up. There's always discomfort with, like, oh, that's a whole lot of ducats I just put on this trade. But so part of it is you have to learn to deal with that discomfort and be okay with that. But if it's too uncomfortable that it starts interrupting your ability to follow the system correctly, then probably sizing down is a good idea, right? Hey guys, just wanted your input for a second. I'm wondering what you'd like to see in the next video. I could either do a back test of a swing trading strategy that I'm working on, or a dive into the US Investing Championship and other trading competitions and what their worth is to us as a trading community. So let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next. Thanks. So for sure, your psychological state can definitely affect your ability to follow your system, right? You can stop out too early, hold too long when you should have stopped out, or cut your winners too early, all that kind of stuff, right? But also your system is going to affect your psychology, your emotional state, for sure, if the system isn't set up correctly. That could be that just you're trying to size too big, and so the P&L swings are too much for you to handle at that point. Or it could be just that your system doesn't really match your personality, right? If you're a laid back type of personality and patient, maybe trying to do a hyper scalping system with a martingale entry strategy is probably not the system for you, right? And vice versa. If you're really high strung, you're probably not going to be a great maybe swing or position trader, where you just have to be really patient and let things work out. You're probably going to want a system where you get in and out a lot, and so yeah, there's definite interaction between the two things. And I wouldn't say that psychology or having a system it's not one or the other. It's finding a marriage of both that makes sense for you, and only you can figure that out. Again, the main message of a lot of my videos is you've got to figure this out on your own. No one can do it for you. At some point you've got to walk your own path. So your psychology and your system are inextricably linked. You can't have one without the other, and they both affect each other. So stop trying to be in one camp or the other, because there's no such thing. It's just one camp. It's all of us traders trying to make a profit and doing our best. There's not a psychology side or a system side. I will say, without a good system with edge, you're not going to be profitable. You can't psychology your way out of a crappy system. It's just not going to happen. So work on both. I think there are a few good trading psych people out there. There's a lot of not so great ones, and there's definitely some good systems out there you can find if you look hard enough. So just keep looking, keep working on yourself, and you'll get there. So my solution to this whole psych versus system thing is, one, have a system that has very clear criteria for for entry, exit, sizing, trade management, all of that, right? Very clear rules. So almost so that, or even so that you could code a computer to do it for you, right? A bot. And that really allows you, especially in the beginning, that allows you to parse out whether you're able to follow a system or not emotionally. And so, yeah, I think that's a good place to start if you can find a system like that. Even if it's not the most profitable system, it just makes sense to spend a little time with a system like that to figure out your whole emotional regulation and psychology thing. One other tip that I would give is to not completely learn your psychology stuff from a trading psychologist. I think it's good to just learn some psych stuff, some counseling techniques, therapy techniques that are taught without trading in mind. See what stuff works for people who are dealing with anxiety and depression, any kind of emotional dysregulation, I guess. Because I feel like that information is less likely to be, it's so ubiquitous, right? It's out there for free. It's less likely to be marketed as like, ooh, here's this thing because I'm a trading psychologist, so here's my new book and blah, 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 and all that. So I just feel like, go learn some cognitive behavioral therapy techniques and maybe some ACT stuff. And there's a lot of good things out there that are not only going to help you with trading, but just probably make your life a little better too. So yeah, get out and learn some of that stuff. And don't just stick in the trading psychology realm, because I feel like it's, like most of trading, it's a bit full of fake professionals or fake experts and possibly charlatans, so yeah, go out and learn some real psychology and just apply it to your trading and the rest of your life. It'll be helpful. Part of the reason I'm recommending learning psychology from resources that aren't meant specifically for trading is that when you put your life savings on the line on a trade, having an elevated heart rate and feeling some anxiousness is completely normal. That's a normal reaction. We're human beings, and our brains were not built for that, really, right? We're not built to react to red and green candles and red and green numbers on a computer screen. So it's a completely understandable reaction when something that's really important to you and could mean your survival is on the line because you clicked a button. And that being said, I feel like you're having some anxiousness in that moment. Imagine what it's like for someone who deals with anxiety because of just random everyday reasons, right? And so I think if we can learn the techniques that help a person in that situation, let's say they have anxiety over, maybe they have claustrophobia, right? Anxiety over small places. They can't get into an elevator without flipping their shit. Well, what kind of techniques help that person? Because if it can help that person, it can probably help my self-imposed anxiousness because my size is a little bigger than it was yesterday, because I'm trying to size up in my account or whatever, right? So yeah, let's go learn those techniques, and let's not talk about how they specifically relate to trading at first. Just learn the technique and then figure out how you can apply it to your trading. I think that's probably a better way to go about the whole trading psychology thing than getting specific recommendations for psychology specific to trading, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm on my way out here. So it's time to do my obligatory begging of please hit the like button or subscribe if you feel this is helpful content. I try not to come off as an expert necessarily in any of these topics, although I'm better versed in some than others. But I am trying to put together a series of videos that just helps people who are having trouble finding what's real out there in the YouTube trading space, because it's a struggle. So I'm trying to grow the channel so that I can get this stuff in front of more eyes, right? Hopefully help more people and eventually start a good community of people who are watching each other's backs and trying to teach and learn from each other. So anyway, like, please, subscribe, please, share with friends, throw comments down below. And all right, my dog's starting to get annoyed with me. I gotta pick up the pace. See you next time, guys. Let's trade. If you're a laid back, kind of easygoing, patient person and you're trying to do like hyper scalping, with a Nightingale entry system. Maybe I should say system one more time. Bobby Newport.
Bobby Newport.
Bobby Newport.
Bobby Newport.
Bobby Newport.
Bobby Newport.
Newport.
Bobby.
Bobby
Newport.
All right, now we're just wasting time, Jerry.
Just learn from good psychologists. My dog just decided to go off on her own. What you got, bud? I don't want to stay here. Yeah, this is your spot now? You live here? All right. Come on, girl. Come on. Come. Let's go.